What's up, you guys? Welcome to another week of Mike's podcast, Thinking with Mike. And I got Sam again here today, and there's a couple of things for us to talk about. It's been a little bit of a week off here because we've had sicknesses just rampaging through all the school systems and all the kids, and it's just going through the parents and the buyer pool at large, and it's been pretty slow.
Yeah, half my kids' classes, literally half the school was gone. I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah. So what we're dealing with is we've got the normal fluctuations of the market cycles going into the fall and the winter market where things just get slow, especially around Thanksgiving is coming up and the holidays, and we start hearing we're going to wait to get through the New Year's. And the way that mixed with the rate environment, that's still not great, but it's not even the rate environment because rates actually
the payment environment though.
Yeah, the payment environment and the payments actually got a lot better recently, but the Fed is still aggressively pursuing their stomping out
the market,
the economy in general.
Yep.
And so people are going for that. And then we mix in this flu season.
Yeah,
and people are just staying home. So we're just kind of got a slow couple of weeks here, and it's actually been a good time for us to refine our processes and really dig into the things we are really good at, and to observe the agent pool out there who is just squirming.
Yeah, it's been nonstop. Did you notice the last couple of years, a lot of agents just went dark on social media because they didn't need to do it.
Yep.
Because they just had business coming at them so easily. They didn't need to do any marketing. And now I've noticed in the last 2 months, everybody's going live. Everybody's putting videos out. People are just grabbing for whatever lever they can pull. But it's not really, it's kind of a little bit too much too late, in my opinion.
You know what the craziest thing that I've been having to do lately is that I'm having to put on this hat of speaking through the other agent in a way that coaches them through a light and easy helpfulness way for them to then take the information that they didn't have, that I just gave them in the context of the market and what they should do and say to their seller so that they know how to actually get the transaction done.
Right.
What this means is if we're trying to buy a house, the seller's agent on the other end is doing everything they can to get in the way of the deal.
I wasn't sure what you were saying, but yes.
And
they're still operating like it's hot.
Not even that. They don't even know how to operate when it doesn't just sell itself.
Yeah, they don't have the skills, but we do, because I've been doing this for 11 years, and it was normal for homes to be on the market for 90 to 120 days.
Yeah, that's the way it is, and that's how it goes. But a lot of these agents don't have the skills or the understanding or even the know-how, no fault of their own,
to market a property over time and to manage their sellers over time.
Or even to understand what the market's doing, because they have one listing. It's the first one they've had in the last 6 months. So they have had no ability to track the ebbs and flows of the marketplace. They can't even compare to their other listings and what's happening there. And so they just have this that's happening to them instead of them happening to it.
Well, and I think we would be arrogant to say that we weren't caught a little flat-footed coming into this. For sure. We were all kind of oh my gosh, what's going on?
I'd actually argue with you on that. I spent the last year and a half, Anne Marie and I did, stockpiling cash, knowing that.
Oh, and I'm not talking about a cash position. I'm talking about just purely how do we acquire new clients right now?
What I found, and yes, I spent at least 2 weeks doing that, and I dug into researching, and I really thought.
Yeah.
I think that's what we all did.
Yep.
And what I found, and this has been 2 weeks ago, is that the answer's in the simplicity of it.
Yeah, it's just the fundamentals. You just have to do more of it. So
Yep.
Instead of doing your hour of prospecting right now, you need to do 4 hours or 5 hours.
And the conversations go away from the chaos and the stuff and into the simplicity of just buying and selling real estate.
Do you want to purchase a home?
Yep. Do you want to sell a home? And is moving right now the right thing for you, or selling this asset the right thing for you? Is buying the right thing for you? And that's basically it. It's pretty damn simple.
Yeah, and I've been curious or interested in knowing how often as agents we're actually adding the market condition conversation when the client really wasn't looking for that.
Yes.
So you call a lead and somehow out of our own knowledge, insecurity, whatever it is, we start going into overcoming the market, and they haven't even asked that. And then suddenly we've put new concerns and new worries in their heads that maybe weren't even there.
So we went to a seminar yesterday. It's called Realize. It's what our brokerage does annually, and we have some really good speakers in there. And this is segueing on what you just said about keeping it simple. So the first speaker was the number one RE/MAX agent, and he was very impressive, and he spent the whole time talking about his listing presentation. It was very detailed and very, I wouldn't say complex. It was simple, but it was quite complex. And I went back and I realized, like, I used to do listings.
Strategic.
It was strategic, right? But I guess that the overarching theme of what he was talking about is that we're salespeople, and the reason people sign and hire us when they're interviewing other people is that they have an extreme confidence that you're going to get the job done, right?
Yep.
That's the number one thing. And so when you talk about simplicity, it's all you need to do as a real estate agent is, one, assure the clients that you're the person to get the job done, right? You're the person to get them the best deal on the house they're buying. You're the person to get them their house sold for as much money and as quickly as possible.
Right.
Like, that's it. And so
That's
whatever
very
words you
simple.
can use to assure them that you're the person to get the job done is what it really comes down to. And then the second part is that you actually have to be able to do that.
Right. You have to follow through.
And that's all that it is. It's about, we have a very simple job, and it's to buy and sell real estate and help make it as seamless as possible.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah. So, and he kept saying, I mean, some of the things he said is, are you as confident in me as I am in myself?
Yes.
Well, I think that you can't be confident in yourself if you're ill-equipped or you haven't studied or perfected your craft. So as long as you're good and you can actually present that to the client, then it's very simple.
I've actually been growing. My relationships with my sellers have actually been growing in a positive direction as the days on market have been accumulating in some of my listings.
Right. Because up front you've established, there's a train going by. Can they see that?
No.
It's very loud. I can't hear myself anymore.
That's why we have these mics.
So distracting.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways, what was I talking about? Listing appointments and listing relationships.
Managing them over time.
Yeah, I mean, if they really are confident in you being able to do the best job for them, then, he kept saying too, I gave it all I got. I did what I said I was going to do. The market
is going to tell you.
Is speaking. Yep.
Yep. The goal is to get as many showings as possible and eyes on the property. And once the market has seen that, that's just the way it is.
Yeah. So on that same note, what we were talking about, you asked me, what do I think the market is right now? Like, what would you call it? And I think it's a very temporary, rate shocked, payment shocked, holiday shocked market that is not going to last, I would say 90 days maybe, because historically, anytime there's been a big change, like even with COVID, it takes about 60 to 90 days for the consumer to really adopt that as their new normal, because everything in life is on the backdrop of perspective. So the perspective right now is the 7% rate is only bad compared to the 3% rate that we used to have. Once that sets in, then that's the new normal. It's just going to take time. And what hasn't been solved, and the reason this is different than '08, is there's still a ton of buyers who actually want to purchase homes and people who want to move.
Yep. I had this agent call in this morning. She's showing my listing for the second time, and she called me and she goes, hey, we're looking at an extended close date, after the new year. And I said, that's fine. She goes, oh, well, we have a house to sell too. Can we throw that in there? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. She goes, oh, you take both of those? And I'm like, yeah, for sure we look at them. Like, write it up. She goes, I just don't know if we should because those terms. And I said, write the offer. And she goes, I don't know if I'm going to.
That's how you know somebody doesn't. So we do, 10 to 30 sales a month on our team, depending on the time of the year, sometimes 40 if it's a really good spring. But somebody who only does 4 to 6 sales a year, her last sale might have been August.
Yep.
So that's when those terms wouldn't get pushed through. So she's still operating with that mindset.
And she can't even believe it as I'm telling her to just do it. I finally ended the conversation and I said, hey, have your buyers write the terms exactly how he would love them to be in his wildest dreams and write the offer over. Send it over. I said, go for it and we'll do what we can.
She's like, I don't know.
And she goes, I don't know. I'll talk to him tonight and maybe, we'll see. But we'll probably just wait. I'm like, oh my God. I'm trying my best. And the goal here is not to get completely lowballed. Maybe it is, but when people initially put pen to paper, there's a part of themselves that commits themselves to that property. So the goal is to get that offer moving. That's forward momentum from your buyer in a listing, so that you can then work them to a price that really works for your seller.
Right.
Seller.
Yep.
And contingencies, who gives a shit?
Right.
Right. As long as the price is right and as long as they list that property right, like I don't care.
Well, half the properties in the market right now have a backup house. Have you seen that?
Yeah, there's Domino's. We've done tons of Domino's.
It's the most I've ever seen right now.
Yeah. Domino's are fun when you get to closing date and you have like 8 homes that are
Oh.
stacked up and they just go brrr, or there's a problem and then you're trying to find the person who's at
Do you remember when we had a stack that me, you, Mike, Jelena, and Matt were like all involved in
Yes.
some way?
yes.
That was so great.
Those things just happen.
Like
They're classic.
2018, like it like started with like Jay's listing, and then it was like Matt's buyer, and that buyer listed a house with Matt that Mike's buyer bought, and then Elena sold that one. Like it was crazy. Like
was insane.
everybody was getting paid.
Yeah, we just all tangled, but we've been there, and so we're not scared of it. That's it. You just do your due diligence
You have
down
like
the line.
6 skilled people there
Yep,
on, just working to get it done. It's fine.
yep, and that's another reason why having a good agent, because when you add an extra domino into the mess of it, and you're like, oh, that's somebody I trust, and then you can add them into it.
Oh my gosh, Jay just had an agent literally destroy a deal for his client on a property. They actually really wanted it, and he was like determined to cancel this deal.
Yep.
It was so crazy. Jay's like, he's like, the dates that you guys negotiated in the contract didn't work for us, and we're canceling. And he's like, we can't get our financing done in time. And Jay's like, let's extend. And he's like, no, there's a bank overlay that doesn't work. And Jay's like, I've got this gal. She can do the loan. Ken can do the loan. He can do it residential. Like, we've got solutions. And he's like, sorry, but your seller was just too stubborn in negotiations, and we're canceling the deal. And behind the scenes, the buyer is talking to the seller saying that they still want to do the deal. So it's not coming from them. The agent, he literally just wrecked it.
For what reason?
I think it was probably like to preserve his ego in some way,
Could be.
because that's usually what it is. Like he said something at some point and he was willing to fall on his sword to be right about it. And who knows what he was telling the client, but it was so strange. Our seller was even willing to seller finance part of it.
You know what the problem with doing something for ego is that you get this one big blast of endorphins and serotonin after it's happened, and you're like, F yeah. And then all of a sudden you like sit
Welcome to
down
Mike's psychology class.
and then you look in your hands and you don't have anything.
Yeah. Yep.
And you got to be really careful about that.
Right.
In fact, you may have less than you had before it.
Yeah. Well, and that was, I guess, going back to the conference last night, one of my favorite parts about that guy was like, he was really willing to humble himself for people to have confidence in himself.
Correct.
He kept saying, I don't bring an ego into this work. And this is somebody who's swinging around $5 to $10 to $20 million properties like pancakes on a grill.
Yep.
I mean, he just flipping them over. It was a good visual, wasn't it? You're going to laugh. Yes. I made Michael laugh today.
I missed it. That was yours.
Yeah, I don't think that worked.
All right.
Whatever.
Great. All right. Moving on to the second guest that we had at this Realize, and it was terrible.
It was so bad. Can I say his name?
No.
What?
But he's a coach who sells like coaching to real estate agents. And everything that he did, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just a repeat from all the stuff from 2018 that doesn't work, because we've tried it and we've tested it. Flat out doesn't work. It's way too much work. It will destroy you if you try to do that. Like,
Well, I oversee our marketing on our team, and he was telling like people to do like Facebook range ads. Like, these are so effective. He's like, I'm going to give you the exact verbiage. He goes, don't write it down. I'm going to give you all these slides, which by the way, at the end, you had to become like a lead to get the slides. It's like the whole thing was like clickbait basically. And then he was like, do this on Facebook. And I looked at Mike and the team and I was like, we can't do that. Like, their new housing overlays,
not new, by
like
the way.
3-4 years old.
Yep.
You cannot market specifically to certain cities. And that was the whole strategy, homes for 400 to 700K in Waconia. I'm like, you can only do things within a 15-mile radius now because of the law.
Yep.
So like what he's coaching isn't even, it's that old.
It doesn't even, you can't even do it.
Yeah. It was just not good.
So it was really neat to see somebody who's saying, he opened his pitch by saying the people who don't innovate are going to die in this marketplace, and then regurgitated a pitch that we've seen for the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, and then like making up, fabricating stories of his fake happy hour where all
Yes.
his agents were like high-fiving. I had a happy hour last night and everyone's businesses is up and blah, blah, blah. And oh, by the way, if you need help, I sell coaching. It's like
It would be great.
so bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
So be careful for the fraudsters out there. Be aggressively attracted to the people who are simplifying the uncomplicated or simplifying the complicated, which I say uncomplicated the first thing because like it's really not complicated, but you sure can make it complicated if you want to.
Yeah. Yep. And then, you know, if on the consumer side right now, like interview people and find somebody who does this really, really well. Like be unmoving about that as a value right now for selling your house, because I don't care if your aunt's been a realtor for 30 years. Like it matters so much right now.
Yep. Discount brokers are getting annihilated right now.
Open doors closing. It's going to close.
Yep. We've been saying this forever. Like that. So the problem with let's get into this really quick. We can at least clip this at the end or not. So this iBuying or these big mega companies who pay cash for your property and then go around and flip it for a profit. The problem with these companies is not that they're paying too much for the house. They're really not. It's that a house takes too long to sell and there's too many things that happen between contract and reselling the property at these razor thin margins. So what happens is that everybody loses. The seller sells their house for too little. Open Door holds the bag on this house for way too long and they get their ass kicked. They're losing $928 million so far through Q3.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's almost $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't commoditize something that is so local and personal.
Yep.
And I mean, it's like there's just no way from an office, and I don't know, where were they based out of? Probably California somewhere.
Of course.
That you're going to know that, you know, the neighborhoods in Minneapolis changed by literally a block,
Yep.
and the value between those blocks can be six figures.
And even if you do, it takes you, 1 to 7 months to sell the asset.
It's
who knows
extremely
what would have happened?
It's extremely inefficient
Yep.
too. There's no way to make it efficient.
Nope, you cannot.
No.
Not at those margins anyways.
No, and then they were trying to have local contractors recarpet and all that, and then they would let people show the homes themselves, and people would like walk in there with their boots on, and the
Yep.
houses would be dirty. Like it's just not. It's not going to work.
Yep. So if you're invested in those companies, like, I'm sorry, that was a mistake.
Yeah. Yep. It
Always was. And I'm sorry that you sold to them because I know you thought you got a good deal. You didn't.
No, nobody did.
they
I have
didn't.
yet to see somebody who got one where I'm like, yeah, that was great for you.
No, because after the fees and everything, you can say, yeah, but Open Door sold it for this after that. It's like, they suck at selling houses. Like, get over it.
They're
Like, you
sold-
still lost
Like if they sold your house for 500, we could have sold it for 5.25 any day.
easily.
So
Yep. Anyways, let's keep it at that, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. This has been fun. We're battling and we're having a lot of fun doing it. So stay tuned. If you want to schedule a consultation, click the link below. Please share this and comment. This is a lot of fun to do. We're going to keep it up.
have a good day, guys.
Have a great weekend.
Have
Bye-bye.
a happy Thanksgiving.